I've always had a frustration looking back on both the previous level of schooling and then what schooling looks like today, and how unfair it's set up to the way the male brain is set up. I mean, we are, every guy I ever knew, minus maybe 3, lived for recess and lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if I wanted to learn more efficiently and effectively, how amazing would it have been if I had 30-minute learning lessons with, 20 minutes off, or 40-minute learning lessons and 25-minute recess, and, some kind of like break along the way. Meanwhile, we would sit in the class, and if we weren't like the girls in the class who were amazing, I mean, I still admire the way that some of my friends growing up in Catholic school, I went to Catholic school, I had nuns. So, they were even tougher on me because we were rambunctious boys. And we come in from recess with our white shirts and ties, like tied around our necks, thrown around backwards, and our shirts unbuttoned, mud all down the front of our shirts. This is in like the 7th grade, stinking like you've never stunk before. The hall closet just smelled so nasty. And the girls would come in and they'd sit down and they would do everything the way. And I've coached a lot. I've coached boys sports and a little bit of girl sports. It's so different, but we don't acknowledge those differences. Instead, we tend to punish the parts of men that are not like women in the areas that they're great at. And so that's a perfect distinction that I'd love your input on.
Yeah. I got to interview a guy, Richard Reeves, you know that name?
I do know the name. Yeah.
Yeah. He wrote the book of Boys and Men, and he's it's not a Fulbright scholar. First, he's a genius, and he works at like the highest research institute in the world. And his whole thing was looking at testosterone levels in young men, times of like who's doing what at what school level, who's excelling at what level. And he just breaks it down statistically and is saying, this does not work. The evidence is there. The statistics are there. The experience is there. We can go anecdotally to where I remember sitting in a chair, like my body screaming as a 3rd, 4th, 5th grader of like, when do I get to go run? When do I get to go chase my buddy? When do I get to go play basketball? But he takes the two together and really says the education system is completely backwards, and has some proposals even for how we change it. And this was a pretty radical one. Scott was saying we could almost start girls and boys in the same grade would be a different age. So I would be a year older, I think, than the girls in my age, in my grade, because developmentally, that's just how it happens. I develop a little bit slower. And to have more recess time, to have more physicality time. I don't have kids, but if I do, I will not put them in a public school system. I will literally be like, your job is going to be out exploring. You're going to be in the surf. You're going to be in the woods. You're going to be chasing shit. You're going to be reading. You're going to be learning the things that need to be learned. But man, I don't know about you. At my age, I imagine my testosterone is lower than when I was 13 through 18. I cannot sit for 6 hours now.
No.
I can't, I'll do 2 and 3 interviews today. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go to the gym. I have a pool outside. I used to just jump in the pool in between it calls. I'd like chase my dog around. If someone was like, hey, here's the next 6 hours of your life. By the way, this is going to bore the shit out of you. First of all, because it's mostly irrelevant stuff. I have not used the Pythagorean theorem ever. I would lose my fucking noodle. I would lose it. I left grad school. I did a year of grad school for Chinese medicine, walked right into the registrar's office and said, I have to go to Thailand for a year and fight because you guys have kept me in a classroom for 5 to 6 hours a day for the past year. Yes, I know I'm here voluntarily, but I have so much angst in my body. This is at like age 33, 34. I'm leaving the country to go express all of this energy. I'll be back and I'll finish the program. Now imagine a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old. And then who, even worse, not just is this child punished, they're like, oh, he just needs Ritalin. He's just got ADHD. Like, no, he's a boy. He's a kid. Put him in front of some blocks, put him outside. Does he have ADHD on the playground? No, I don't think so. He's very focused. He's very present. He's just got more energy running through his body than we know what to do with. We as men too, we need to learn how to direct that. That's one of the reasons, idle hands are lead to challenge. I still feel that with a lot of men. This is why we come back to the age old, like, why are you here? What are you building? It's the very first chapter of my book. What are you building?
Yeah,
You
purpose.
naturally have a lot of fucking energy in your body. What are you going to do with it? I guarantee you, if you sit in front of a computer, if you smoke dope and play video games, if you jerk off to porn 4 times a day, you will not be okay. You got to get out there and start doing some stuff. We are the doing species. Yes, we need to learn how to be. I need to learn how to be empathetic. I need to learn how to be kind. I need to learn how to be compassionate and relational. But I don't throw out the doing part of my life just to bring in the being part of my life. That, and I'll say this, that is the way of the feminine. And it doesn't work for most men. And we're watching the failed experiment of how many guys in their 20s have dropped out. How many guys in their 20s are now suicidal that weren't before? How many guys in their 20s are depressed, are not interested in a relationship, are not having sex, are not working jobs, are not functioning members of society because the experiment has failed.
How
We
about
just won't recognize it.
how about depreciating men to the point where we have depreciated the jobs that only men do to the point that no men want to do them. So
Right.
this is a challenge. We have a problem with trade schools. We can't get enough men to do trades roles. I have a good couple of friends that own HVAC and electrical companies, highly successful. Guys are making 70, 80, $90,000 a year in a market where that's a pretty great salary. And kids are going to college and coming out and not making that for 9 years, 7 years, 6 years, right? But we've depreciated that. And the gap between the number of young girls getting accepted to college and young men getting accepted to college is continuously decreasing for men and increasing for women, which is great. Like, in a lot of ways, I'm glad to see education rewarding those that are most dedicated, and that's a positive. But the negative is that gap of punishing men and depreciating the value of the things that make them good or special or unique are actually depreciated to the point where they end up unemployed and non-productive. If you like clips like this, I have a similar clip here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here.